Welcome to Gowan Consulting's Sexual Harassment webinar. My name is Nancy Gowan. This webinar is designed to assist you in understanding sexual harassment and how to eliminate it in your workplace. Our agenda for this session includes defining sexual harassment and the different types of harassment that may occur in your workplace. We will discuss the consequences of harassment and how you can confront an individual who may be harassing you. If you are an individual who has had a complaint with respect to harassment, this webinar will help you to understand those behaviors that are unacceptable in the workplace and ways that you can change your behavior to become professional within your workplace. We will end this webinar with a reminder of your policies, procedures, and resources. In Canada, we have a diverse organization and a diverse employment force. We are proud of the ability for organizations to employ individuals with different backgrounds, ethnicity, gender identities, sexual orientation, and abilities. Our workplaces have become a melting pot of diversity, allowing individuals to bring their best selves to work. Each of us need to feel safe in our workplace in order to allow us to share our skills and our abilities. Our occupational health and safety laws support our ability to be safe both physically and psychologically at work. Sexual harassment is illegal and is not tolerated in any workplace. Unfortunately, 50% of women and 20% of men have experienced sexual harassment in the workplace. This can cause a reduction in morale and productivity, and in the case of the individual offender, the loss of a job, career, and a demotion. We need to stop sexual harassment, not only in our workplaces, but throughout our world. Harassing behaviors can include visual, verbal, and physical actions that ought to be known to be offensive. It may include things such as jokes or comments, even if they are not directed at any one person. The harassment may occur between coworkers, managers, managers to employees, employees to managers, employees to suppliers or contractors to employees. It can occur anywhere related to the workplace, such as work parties, dinner with clients, conferences, trade shows, sales calls. Harassment can include anyone and be anywhere. So most of us think of sexual harassment as only physical in nature. Things such as touching, shoulder massages, hugging, back scratching, and sexual advances. But there are a number of other behaviors that are unacceptable. Things such as unwanted flirting, repeated requests for dates, suggestive whistling, leering, catcalls, long stares, or sexually suggestive looks. Viewing or posting sexual pictures or images, sending sexually explicit emails, viewing sexually explicit websites, use of social networking sites for sexual-based messages. It can include verbal behaviors such as crude or offensive language, making derogatory comments about a person's sexual orientation, making jokes or comments about a person's physical attributes, inappropriate remarks or jokes about a person's pregnancy, gossiping or spreading rumors about sexual topics, use of demeaning names, honey, sweetie, hottie, baby, offensive gender-based comments such as, well, the women's place is in the kitchen, better to be barefoot and pregnant, texting explicit messages or pictures with your cell phone. All of these behaviors are unacceptable and considered sexual harassment in the workplace. One of the types of harassments can be between a manager and an employee. You've heard about the #MeToo movement that started in the movie industry, where there was an expectation that sexual favors would be exchanged for that movie assignment. We call this quid pro quo, when a job benefit is withheld or awarded based on sexual favors. We refer to it as this for that. If you do this, I'll give you a better assignment, a promotion, or a bonus, a good performance review. It can also occur that if someone withholds sexual favors and result in a negative work assignment, termination, demotion, or a poor performance review. This is unacceptable. We need to make decisions in our workplace based on a person's capabilities and skills, not related to this for that or quid pro quo. In general, sexual harassment creates a hostile work environment. When an employee feels intimidated by another coworker due to conduct that unreasonably interferes with an individual's work performance. When an employee does not feel safe in a workplace, they will be preoccupied with their safety and not be able to focus on their work or their job performance. So how do we determine if it is in fact harassment? The law uses the reasonable person standard. Would a reasonable person find this behavior offensive? We hope that many of our workplaces are filled with the reasonable person. We know that a hostile work environment can occur between anyone within the workplace, whether they're same gender or different gender. At the same level within the workplace, manager harassing employee, or an employee harassing a manager. It can include outsiders coming into the workplace and harassing employees. Anyone in the workplace that is offensive against another person is creating a hostile work environment and sexually harassing individuals. We know that sexual harassment is unacceptable. There are many consequences that may occur for those that offend another individual. It may start with written warnings, suspensions, demotions, all the way to termination. It is important to understand that it is difficult for an individual who has been harassed to come forward and complain, and that it is illegal to retaliate for a sexual harassment complaint. Harassment is easy to prevent. We can stop sexual harassment. It's simple. Leave sexually based behaviors at the door. Treat everyone with respect. And if you see someone being harassed, be courageous, speak up, and tell the offending individual to stop. We know from studies and research that the offender does not necessarily know that they are offending another person. Most times they're not doing it intentionally. In 90% of cases, sexual harassment will end simply by asking the harasser to stop. And many times the employee has not got any idea that they've offended someone else. Once they understand how their behaviors has affected someone else, they will stop. The ability to reflect can change our experience into insight. Most people keep doing what they always do because they have not taken the time to think, reflect, or experienced the ability to know that something has been offensive. If you are one of the individuals that have had a complaint of harassment against you, it's important to step back, to reflect on that behavior, and to consider how that may have been offensive to another individual. Training and reflection does help. When we know better, we do better. We know that all we need to do is to reflect, adjust our behavior, and change. But in order to reflect, we need to be more mindful of the behaviors that are offensive. You may take a moment to list behaviors that may be offensive to another individual. If you've had a complaint against you, stop, reflect on that complaint, reflect on your communication style. How might it be perceived by others? And what can you do to be aware of your behavior in the future? How can you stop, count to 10, reflect on what you're about to do or say, and allow yourself to be able to change that behavior? Without reflection, the behavior does not change. And so it's important to take this opportunity to stop and think about what you can do differently in the future. Now, what do you do if you feel that you are being harassed? It really can be uncomfortable. It can be scary. Most individuals are not comfortable confronting the harasser because they feel threatened. Or maybe there's a power relationship, such as the quid pro quo situation. Perhaps they're afraid of losing their job, afraid of being threatened, or the harasser being aggressive. In the past, they may have confronted the harasser and the behavior continued. It's important to step back and not judge the individual who is making the complaint against you. Why did they not speak to me? Why did they not tell me directly that this was a problem? Understand that in power relationships in the workplace, individuals may not confront you if you've offended, but may be more comfortable addressing that with HR or their manager. It truly is a scary situation, and we need to respect that if that individual has not confronted you directly, that there was a situation where the individual may have felt threatened by your behavior, or threatened in terms of losing their job or the consequences of those actions. So how can we help individuals to be more comfortable in confronting harasser? Understand that confronting the harasser is the key to stopping harassment in 90% of the situations. If you feel harassed or offended, stop. Stand tall. Take a deep breath and approach the harasser without accusing, but with respect and calmness. Do not lose your temper. Step back and understand that in 90% of the situations, the individual did not know that they've offended you. We suggest that you use a situation, behavior, and impact statement. Explain the situation. John, when you came into the meeting, you came over and gave me a hug. Explain the behavior. Hugs make me feel uncomfortable. Explain the impact. I felt sensitive about my personal space. And then explain future need. In the future, please do not hug me. So, situation, behavior, impact. John, when you came into the meeting, you came over and gave me a hug. Hugs make me feel uncomfortable, and I feel sensitive about my personal space. In the future, please do not hug me. In most situations, this will provide the insight the harasser needs to respect your personal space and stop. Getting upset, losing your temper, being accusatory may lead that harasser to become defensive. Stay calm and approach it with respect. So once you have confronted the offender, if the harasser continues and this does not resolve the situation, meet with your manager or HR to discuss your concerns. File a formal complaint to trigger an investigation and lead to a formal resolution of the situation. In conclusion, sexual harassment in the workplace is a serious issue. Each workplace has strict policies, defined acceptable and unacceptable behaviors. Start by being self-aware of your own behaviors and the behaviors of your staff. Ask for support through coaching if you need it. Education and reflection is the first step to eliminating harassment in the workplace. But there is a need for ongoing awareness and support to ensure that your new behaviors or the new behaviors of the harasser can lead to respectful communication and interaction that is professional on an ongoing basis as a norm in your workplace. Thank you for spending the time to understand sexual harassment in the workplace. If you have any questions or would like to engage in further coaching and support for your workplace, contact us at Gowan Consulting for additional resources and support. And have a safe, healthy, and productive day.